All right, it is time for That Davis Show. We have been away with That Davis Show and The Flip. We are back. We took a little bit of breaks. Things happens. Lives have changed. I may have the Rona for all I know. Brian, if he did have it, he beat it. All right, I went to my niece's birthday party. First of all, I'm Kenneth Davis, the host of That Davis Show. Follow me at That's Davis. You see the executive producer Ryan B. Ski. Follow him at Ryan B. Ski1 on Instagram and also Ryan B. Ski on Twitter. That he needs to use a tad bit more. And Ryan has something he wants to tell everybody. This is off the top. This is the tippy. Taking it from the top, the tippy. First of all,
how you position it that I want to tell everybody.
I want to shout out to Otto Porter, the Bulls swing man, sharpshooter, who we rarely get to see out on the court. But he is a lover of the ladies, and there's nothing wrong with that, except he's roaming the streets and he's out there passing about, drinking to all of the ladies at some look like a Halloween party. I guess he was at. He had like a kimono.
That is officially this year. Did they find out?
That's what I was wondering too. Was that like 2018 and someone's trying to slide that in on him? So you know what? Let's just punt that. Because there's no verification
but I
that he
do
deserves.
Like the idea of that being this year and Mark Eversley and the rest of that
exactly like
you jettison this dude.
You really out here like that, right? You really living like. First of all, you ain't even been on the court. But again, listen, who am I to talk about someone in their free time enjoying themselves as far as short as we know this life can be? So anyway, with that, I'm bumping that off because we got more important things to talk to. First of all, Ryan cut his hair. You see Ryan doesn't have the cap on. Show them how long the hair is, Ryan, still right now. Now, he cut it. Now, when you cut
That's 8 inches off the top.
Pause. When he cut it, we were trying to go over. Where'd you go get a cut at, Ryan?
I did Children for Hair Loss is the charity, and I went through their website and found one like a local salon that was close to me. So they chopped it off and they send it all in. I just had to fill out some paperwork.
Now, did they wash the hair or did you wash the hair?
Ooh, what did we do? I think we washed the hair and then they chopped it off.
Okay. How long did it take?
Not too long. It's basically was the same like last time. Put the rubber bands, figure out the distance, chop, and then it's the actual haircut that takes any kind of time.
So do you get the haircut for free or do you have to pay for the haircut?
I had to pay for the haircuts, but I think that's actually the norm. I don't think they give like if you go to Great Clips, they'll give you a free cut. But if you go to any type of like salon or whatever, they still charge you.
Okay. Do you get a tax write-off for that?
I do. They should be sending me. I get a T-shirt too.
Okay. Well, good cause.
Representing.
Definitely. Again, definitely. Can you say the cause again?
Children for hair or children with hair loss.
Shout out to them. Children for Hair Loss. The second time Ryan is sitting there and giving his generous amounts of his quaff to the streets.
Wigs for Kids. They got 12. Wigs for Kids demand 12. They won't take anything less.
So you wasn't going.
I have 12 to give this time.
You had 12, Ryan. Look how long your hair is right there. You could have given them close to 12. You said you got to 8. So if you would have
scared, I was scared that they were going to chop it off and I was going to have like nothing up top. I was like freaking out about it.
What's the lowest your hair has been in like the last 20 years?
I mean, the long hair is probably within the last 5 years, but before that, I mean, we're talking short. But really? I've officially transitioned. I'm long hair, don't care forever.
All right. So there's definitely some other news coming down the pike, buddy. I'm gonna step out the way and let you do your thing. Announce it to the listeners what's going to take place. What's going on in your life, Ryan?
Well, I decided after a concurrence of events that were both depressing, but I guess eye-awakening. I've decided to move out west like I've always wanted to. I'm done with Chicago winter. My whole life, it's been a decision of if I'm going to live in Illinois, it's going to be Chicago. I don't really like the state beyond Chicago, to be honest. And I definitely don't like living in my hometown at all anymore. Needed a change of scenery. And then, like, when you talk about going down south, like Florida, nah. And on top of it, I don't like East Coast time. When you're trying to do what we're trying to do with watching sports, you don't want to deal with East Coast time zone. So I wanted all the way out west. It was really between Vegas and Arizona, but I felt like I liked Arizona a little bit more, and that the people that are there, and it's a little bit better of a place for me, I think. But
Okay.
if anything, it's right now. It's temporary. It's only like a 6-month lease, so I can always jettison back. But that's just for me to get a start out there and see if I'm actually correct in my dreams of being a West Coast boy.
Okay. Okay. So you got it. Ryan is leaving.
And also, Ken, you'll appreciate this is an ulterior motive here too. Like, my mom is as stubborn as a mule when it comes to any type of abrupt or big time change. And like we talked about with the hearing aid and all this stuff, like she needs to get out of this house because it has stairs. She needs a ranch, and she needs somewhere where she doesn't have to do maintenance for winter and different types of things like that. So I tried to convince her for many years to try selling the house and moving, and she refuses. Now I'm going the other way. I'm going to move. I'm trying to convince my sister to come with me down there. And if she is stuck alone with her kids in one area of the country, she is going to be forced to move out there, whether she likes it or not.
So is your sister going to move?
To be determined. I've just been planting the seed, but the main thing is she wants to allegedly go to Colorado. So that's still out in that area, and that would still work. My mom could just kind of split the difference somewhere, maybe like Flagstaff or something like that. I don't know.
All right. So congratulations. Definitely. As your bro, I'm happy for you. We will continue doing the show so far. We'll see how long it lasts.
What?
I'm just joking because listen, this is the thing. What, in the mountain time, or are you in central time in Phoenix?
They are mountain time when the clocks here shift in November. They're mountain time until the clocks shift again. Then they go West Coast. They don't shift. That's the time when everybody else is shifting. That's what happens with their time.
So technically, because we've talked about perhaps doing a morning show, I mean, it'll be like what, 10 o'clock my time, perhaps? Like, yeah, so yeah, we're still going to bring you the show. This will just probably move to the morning time, or it'll be late in the evening time after Ryan is off of work. We'll still do the flip because he'll have off on weekends. But more importantly, our brother's going out to explore and fulfill himself. And man, we got to be happy for that. Taking a little bit of rain and turning to sunshine, and just going out and exploring the world as a young person, as he should, man. So definitely, Ryan, do your thing. I'm proud of you. I look forward to you being happy. You know what I'm saying? I look forward to the sports. I look forward to visiting you.
Oh yeah, 3-hour plane ride. You can
when the
fly
COVID
out
is
of Rockford.
Well, never. And I got family in Rockford. Why do I gotta go to Rockford to get to Tempe? Is that the only direct flights to Tempe?
No, I just really like it because Allegiant, like, they're as cheap as Spirit, but they're as comfortable as United.
Really?
They got big birds. They are prompt, always on time. There is no delay, no nothing. They get you there early sometimes. I love it.
Okay, but I'm still not driving to Rockford to go get on a plane. How far are you from Rockford, Ryan?
Basically equidistance from Chicago.
See, I'm not. Nah, I go to Rockford, I'm going to hang out with my family, and then I'm going to chill out and bring myself back to Chicago. But that's it, everyone. Ryan is taking his talents to Tempe, Arizona, fulfilling his dreams, and also making some more dreams. Whoever knows, I want you to get down there and start messing with the industry and get around and find out if you can get on producing somewhere, doing something like that. Would be nice. Kind of get back into that mode. But whatever you want to do, man. But it's definitely dope. As long as you're happy, you know what I'm saying, is what really
That's
matters.
definitely part of the plan. Like, it's been tough with COVID in the Chicago market, especially finding a job in the sports media world. Phoenix, a little bit smaller of a market, but still all the major professional sports. So I'm thinking maybe that gives a little bit more opportunity out there.
Segment.
All right, so definitely want to jump into A little bit of post game for the Bears and a little bit of pre with the upcoming game against the Lions. We knew the Bears got beat up Sunday night by the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers was looking nice. Time I see Aaron Rodgers look nice, it makes me feel bad for calling Patrick Mahomes a baby goat, but baby goat is just facts. I have to call it like I see it. But we had the return of Mitchell Trubisky with Nick Foles being out with the hip pointer. Initially, it was doing well. I will give kudos to this. I think Bill Lazor is coaching to his players' strengths when it comes to play calling, is what I should say. Now that he's doing play calling until Matt Nagy feels that he has to snatch it back. Because Matt Nagy keeps threatening us with it's not permanent, right? It's like, please don't hit me anymore, Father, right? He keeps threatening us with that, right? But Bill Lazor, I feel like did a really good job. Having Mitch there definitely opened up some of the run game for David Montgomery, having one of his best games, if not his best game as a Bear, with the threat of Mitch's feet. But of course, Mitch was Mitch. I think the first interception we were all fine with, especially with it being going into halftime. I believe it was halftime. I don't think that was the end of the first quarter. I think that was the end of the second quarter. That's why it was kind of unimportant. But the fumble was when it was like, oh, and it was a stupid fumble too, because at that point, common sense tells you just to wrap the ball up. So that was I know you haven't seen this player play, Ryan, but the great Mark Price, anytime the double team would come down, when it was closing down, you would see a hand and the ball stick through it, right? And the double, I mean, we're talking about like Pippen and Jordan, Horace Grant, and one of the other two other wing players, like closing down, and you'll see this hand in the ball, and then Mark Price would step like it would happen all the time, and you're like, how is he getting through the double team like this, right? And that's what looked like what Mitch was trying to do with the bat to football sticking out right there when it got knocked out of his hand or when his arm got hit. So that's when it started to be like, oh, here we go again. And then the interception and the triple coverage was just ridiculous, you know. And it's just especially when you have a player that you hope has been growing from sitting on the bench. I will say this too. Something
so much for that, by the way.
Right. Because initially you were thinking like maybe, even though you knew you were lying to yourself, it was like hopefully. But the thing too that I did not like, and I'm not saying that Matt Nagy has been an ally 10 toes down from Mitchell Trubisky, but when he was like, man, I was blindsided, and basically saying how unfair it was. Dude, you haven't played well since 2018 consistent. Right. And really 2018 before you hurt your shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like you haven't been the same guy outside of a fourth quarter with the Eagles in the playoffs. You have not been the same guy whatsoever. So you need to relax because you've been given every possibility. You know, like just every possibility, and you have not taken the bull by the horns, or you lack the ability to take the bull by the horns, because I think we all believe he's a hard worker, but still. So you have
Ken, to your point, you know, if he is like going to be like when you're saying take the bull by the horns, be the leader, be the guy in charge, you know your offense stinks and you can't give up turnovers. That's the ultimate way that you're going to lose. Your only chance is if you play perfect football where you take care of it and you get enough points. What are you doing giving up idiotic fumbles and interceptions? Like, you can't do that. It doesn't matter how much of playtime you've gotten, how much game plan you've been paying attention to. You know what you have to do out there. You can't just give the football away.
With one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. You know, like, and he's got the Vulcan mind lock with his coach right now, Matt LaFleur, to where he's dialing it up for Aaron Rodgers. That run game, Akeem Hicks was out with the hamstring. He was definitely missed. But man, that run game when you have Jones and Williams, those two dynamic running backs, one a hitter, another one, and Aaron Jones who can catch the ball and still hit you hard too. They did that dizzle. Aaron Rodgers was passing the ball all around. Lazard had returned this game. The receiver Lazard had returned this game. Man, it was what the Bears deserved.
Old-fashioned, like Mark Trestman ass whooping right there that you got.
It was going back to the show we did a couple weeks ago, titled "The Bears Heading in the Right Direction." And what do you see consistently? National television, people and pundits. Listen, 4 weeks ago, people were saying nobody was going to fall on their blade for this, right? or I don't want to say
Mhm.
fall. Fall means you're taking responsibility. Pushed on their blade is what I should say. Now it kind of seems like at least Matt Nagy is probably out of here if he doesn't swing this ship around. Now we may not be lucky enough to
Okay,
get
hold on. Hold
Uh-huh.
on. Because I was gonna try to bring up Mitchell Trubisky, the starter for this week, but you're right. Who cares about that? Nobody cares about this season. Because one of my up for grabs for you was, is there any hope for Bears fans that both these guys are out of here? And if not, if it's just one, who do you think's getting out?
I think if it's one, it's Ryan. I mean, it's Matt Nagy. Because you know what? He does not have the relationship with the ownership that Ryan Pace has. You know, being that Ryan Pace works closer to them, proximity wise, being a general manager.
Just massaging Ted's
Right.
shoulders.
You like that,
We're
George?
gonna
George,
get we're gonna get a good offense in here, George. Don't worry, it's coming.
Right, massaging Virginia's feet. You know, like so. You know, it's with that haircut too. Like, yeah, you know, I'm out here. I'm dripping, right? I got drip for sale.
Don't touch these shoulders. Touch these feet. I am the matriarch.
Right, and had her tail up there in Green Bay watching that shellacking take place. Right, like she came all the way up there. You know, she was thinking about her daddy that night.
You know, honestly, why did they make that trip up there? Like, you know what you're gonna get, right?
Listen, but you know what? When you bring that point up, is that perhaps not just for themselves, but also for the people that work for them to let them know, hey, we're watching you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, listen, I got my eye here. I'm here personally to see what's going on, what's taking place on that field and in that locker room.
Well, they saw it. They saw it firsthand. What's happening
up close and personal. Now, me personally, until he gets hurt again, and I'm not wishing it on him, I feel like you may as well let Mitch be out there. You know what I'm saying? Like you may as well just drain Mitch, and I mean it in a positive light. Maybe listen, even for Mitch, for some other team to maybe see something there, like with the Bears probably not bringing him back since they didn't pick up his 5th-year option. Just put him out because listen, there's no need for the Nick Foles show anymore. Even the worst part is this: Nick Foles gonna be a starting quarterback next year, though, at the beginning of the season. He is, because I mean, what's even worse with his contract. Sorry, and with him having that option when he signed here, basically the option was if you play well, you can opt out and you can get some more money. You know what I'm saying? And with having that option, who is searching for Nick Foles right now? Who is like, you know what I need? Right?
Do you think like maybe you could just start Mitch and basically send the message right now to Foles, like, you can be here and be the backup if you want, because we're going to draft a guy and he's going to be the starter, and you try to force his hand out of here? Is that a possibility?
See, the only problem with that is the option is his option. So if basically he can still get the whatever money he was supposed to get from that Jacksonville deal, the annual,
and it is a lot.
Right. So why it's kind of listen, it's like Otto Porter, Ryan. Otto Porter's not opting out right now. Why would he leave $20-something million on the table when he hasn't been healthy?
True.
Right. Like, no.
But I mean, if Nick's going to stick around to be the backup, I'm fine with that. It's better than Chase Daniel or whoever other retread they're going to do.
Listen, the question is, he will probably be the starter initially because you may not get
that's where I got the problem.
Yeah, probably. But think about it. I mean, look, even if the Bears were lucky enough to draft our guy and Trey Lance cannot.
He's coming, baby. We just need a couple more losses.
But listen, he can't start the season though, Ryan. He's only had one season in a lower level of college football. Like, that's asking a lot, right? Like that. I mean, that's asking a whole hell of a lot out of a kid. You know what I'm saying? Now, maybe it could be like Russell Wilson and Matt Flynn, a situation where, you know what, we're in training camp and this kid is just dazzling us, and we have to go with the best option. That would be great. But see, it's just, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And look at the upcoming game against the Detroit Lions. Listen,
we need DeAndre Swift to catch that pass this time.
Go Kitty Cats, go. Lions have a lot. Shelton's out. They got a lot of injuries coming into to this. But hopefully, man, the Lions will sit there and continue this drubbing that the Bears are taking because, and we said this at the beginning of the year when I believe they still had a chance to make the playoffs because they had 5 victories. They were 5-1 at the time. That this was still a fugazi team. It was going to be a team that would make it to the playoffs and get their asses handed to them in the first game that they played, the first round, since everybody has a first round except the one team, the top teams in both conferences. But when you're still thinking about it, like this is one of those games. This and the Jags game are the games that clearly the Bears have a chance to win. I don't think the Bears are going to beat the Texans, to be honest with you. I think Deshaun Watson come looking for y'all because he knows you should be with him and he should be with you.
And JJ Watt has been balling a little bit lately. And this offensive line, welcome, sir. Here's the backfield.
Great point, Ryan. Great point. So again, it's been a, you know what? It turned into a fun year.
It'll be fun if they find a way to lose to Detroit and just their only victory is Jacksonville.
You're right. I'm in total agreement with you, right? And we're looking for Mike Glennon to get some of his. This is the revenge of we didn't draft you or we played you, right? When it comes to Deshaun Watson and Mike Glennon, right?
Oh, come on. That's got to be a clause in Ryan Pace's contract when he signed the extension. If Mike Glennon ever beats you as starter, you officially retire from the NFL.
You're out. Long neck Glennon. I was watching the game and I'm like, why are those kids with that lady? And I'm like, that must be Mike Glennon's wife. And surely it was his wife out there during the game, right? I'm like, that thing beats him with the Rona. I was like, that's got to be the team's wives or something. It definitely was.
Boy.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, to me, every game this season with the Bears, and I'm really talking about the victories, have been stressful. You haven't had any relief. It was just hard. They were hard victories, and we weren't even playing. Imagine playing through those joints. You know what I'm saying? Like the first couple, you like, cool. When you get to the fifth one, you like, man, come on, dog. I just want to go home and relax. I don't want, like these are getting hard and difficult and we're a team that should be able to do this in an easier fashion. So
I mean, imagine if there wasn't COVID, the pandemic, and we were going to each other's houses watching this stuff every Sunday. Man, I mean, it would have hit a point like, do we even want to do this? Is this for real?
Right. Like we'd have stopped going to each other's houses. I'll tell you that much. Right?
Like even D stopped hosting any type of
you'd be like, I'm not coming to the city to watch this take place. So it definitely, you know what I'm saying? It's been stressful. And it's been stressful because we knew that the shine had gone off of this vehicle that is Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. And that it wasn't true. And again, I'm apologizing. I wasn't Matt Nagy guy, and I was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Clearly, I was wrong. So now it seems like if they finish and maybe get another win or two, Matt Nagy's going to have to play the price for that. If you pay attention to the show, you know that both of us feel both of them should have to pay the price. Ryan Pace has been here for what, 6 seasons now?
Yeah, 6. Like, to me, he has to go. Like, I think you probably get rid of both because you don't want to hamstring the next person to having Matt Nagy. But if you're going to just fire one, I think it's got to be Ryan Pace. I mean, what players has he really, like, Khalil Mack, you traded for him. Like, Eddie Jackson hasn't been the player that he was before. And then you move over to offense. There has been nobody that he's gotten that you say, man, Ryan Pace found this guy. It's a bona fide stud. Like, that's a talent evaluator right there.
I'm in total agreement with you. He's been here for 6 years and only had one winning season. All right. So this is one winning season in 6 years. And all he has basically done, he's definitely made some good draft picks later in the draft, but all he basically has done is spend McCaskey money to cover up his mistakes.
You look at Robert Quinn is completely useless right now.
And look at
he's your second highest player.
Right. And look at Leonard Floyd out there right now. Yeah. You could have signed Leonard Floyd to a 2 or 3 year deal and shrunk that $15 million cap hit that you would have gotten for him and had a better player than Robert Quinn, a more versatile player. Now listen, hindsight's 2020. If we go back to this offseason and you tell me I can have Robert Quinn or Leonard Floyd for what Leonard Floyd has done, I'm taking Robert Quinn. But he's supposed to know better than me, and I'm talking about Ryan Pace.
Exactly. You're not running the Bears.
Right, and that's your guy. Even though sometimes we can get upset that people don't let go of their guys, he let go of his guy, but it wasn't time to let go of your guy, basically.
And Ken, I bet you if you were Ryan Pace or in that position, you wouldn't have said, okay, I've spent all this money on Khalil Mack. Let me spend all the rest of my money on Robert Quinn, and let me completely ignore the offensive line. Oh, and then let me throw away a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles for like $30 million. Like, it's insanity.
I'm in total agreement with you. You keep trying to rob Peter to pay Paul for your mistakes in Ryan Pace, and he needs to be held accountable. Listen, he helped build a terrific defense at one point. That's commendable, but still, it's time to go. You know, like you still have some of these defensive players that you can hold over for the next regime. Some of them, like some of these guys, are gonna have to go. Like they're gonna need a quarterback to cover up for some of their liabilities, because what you gonna do with Akeem Hicks is his contract. Right. What you gonna do with Kyle Fuller? You have to sign Kyle Fuller. Like, how's
Eddie Goldman gonna come back after a year of no football?
Good point. But the only thing good about Eddie Goldman is he didn't accrue a year. So so that new contract he just signed, he's still gonna be where he was at last year with it. So you still have Eddie Goldman. You have Leno and Massey coming at the end of their deals, even though neither one is making significant money. You know what I'm saying? But, like, you have to start.
You can't get rid of the money, basically. Like, you have to decide, basically, to get rid of Allen Robinson, your best offensive player, so you have enough money to pay for offensive linemen.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's always taking one step forward, one step back, or 2 steps back if you're Ryan Pace. Like, it's just consistent. And if he's going to go into this draft and start trading up and going crazy, it's like, okay, what are we doing here?
And this is the crazy thing. You're going to probably have, if you're talking quarterback or tackle, one of the top 2 tackles, you're going to have to trade up, period. You know what I'm saying? Maybe and he may not even be a tackle. Slater, the Northwestern kid, a lot of people have him at 6'3", being a guard because they're talking about he's not tall enough and his arms aren't long enough. So, like, if you're going for the 2 tackles, I know one of them is from Oregon. I can't remember where the other one is from. And I think both of them didn't even opt in this year. You're going to have to sit there and go up to get those. And, I mean, it's not sexy. We would say get a quarterback. Sooner or later, you're going to have to invest in this offensive line. That's just the truth of the matter.
No doubt.
You can't. Like, one thing now that you can do is, I don't know how good Mustafa's going to be, but what you may have settled is your guards and your center position. Because if Mustafa is good, Cody Whitehair, you can go play right. James Daniels healthy, come back from that pec. You can come in and play left. Now, Ryan Pace, since you love the Saints so much, you're old school Saints when Drew Brees first got there, and you're strong up the middle. And now,
don't say that name before drafting a quarterback.
All you really need is a tackle. You need 2 tackles, but if you can find a good, a playable left, you can do what you need to do with the right for the time being. You know what I'm saying? But you have to flip this around. And it's definitely time to see some change in Hollis Hall. We've been asking for it for a minute now this season, but it's definitely time for us to see it. And
big time.
As a Bears fan, you should be calling for it. You shouldn't be settling. Right. You should be calling for it. All right, still sticking here in Chicago. We got training camp opening up for the Chicago Bulls. We already know that there's been a regime change when you have Arturas Karnisovas as your vice president of basketball operations and Mark Eversley as your general manager. We have Billy Donovan here. We're going to find out. Billy Donovan, our guy from Florida, OKC. But we're going to find out how good he really is as far as developing these young players that the Bulls have and trying to figure out a system that can sit there and get the best out of all their assets when it comes to Zach LaVine, Kobe White, Carter, Wendell Carter Jr., especially Lauri Markkanen, to see if Lauri Markkanen deserves any money moving into the future. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard. It's hard looking at how he's regressed since his rookie year when it seemed like, man, we may have a diamond in the rough. And I ain't talking about just a regular diamond. Like, I'm talking about, woo, look at this.
He looked like maybe the third or fourth best player out of his class at one point.
Right. Easily. So these are just some of the questions that you're going to have to see. I am excited, though. I must say that there's only 4 preseason games. Rookies, there's no real training camp. There was no summer league for these rooks. You know what I'm saying? Get their feet wet. They just got drafted a week or two ago, right? Like you just put your hat on. It's like take your ass to Chicago, right? Like, so we're gonna see how good Patrick Williams is. From early reporting, the players and people say they like him. Billy Donovan says he definitely likes what he sees, and he was in early on him. I don't know if I was reading that in the Athletic today. Go ahead.
Who's that guy on OKC that was like a big time weapon against those Rockets when the Thunder pushed them in the playoffs? I think he was Canadian or something like that. That really athletic freak, and he was just like draining threes. Like I wonder if maybe Billy Donovan can put him in some of those kind of situations like he did for the player that I'm about to look up at this point.
Okay, because I can't remember the player. You're talking about Patrick Williams or Lauri Markkanen when you're talking about using that player.
Patrick Williams.
Listen, it'd be interesting to see. Lauri Markkanen commented on Patrick Williams and said that, Shuddy looks right. Donovan was talking him up as far as his natural ability, as far as handling the ball, passing the defense. We're going to see. I mean, they're not going to press this kid. So that one thing is they're definitely going to bring him along slowly. There's no reason to, even though the only way he may get a lot of tick early is depending on what happens with Otto Porter. But you would think with them giving re-signing Denzel Valentine that he's going to get some of those Otto Porter minutes. Chad Hutchinson is going to get a chance to take some of those minutes too.
Garrett Temple, guy that they signed as well.
And also Sato is probably going to be playing some swing guy too, like he did last year. You know what I'm saying? But I'm definitely looking forward to it because it's like a breath.
It was Lou Dort, by the way.
Oh,
if you remember him.
Oh, I don't know. Not Lulu. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a good time over at the UC with no fans in there. I am a tad bit worried when you're talking about how many games take place in an NBA week. What happens when players catch the coronavirus, because they will catch it since there's no bubble with the NBA. I wonder and I assume since they put out the scheduling in 2 parts, will there be a part in the springtime that if we get to a situation where everything has to be shut down, that they may sit there and return to a bubble with a certain amount of teams. Since it works so well, but it's going to be hard. It's going to be an interesting season, unfortunately, because you're going to see a lot of teams playing without their star players and best players because they may have contacted coronavirus. Also, guys aren't going to be playing just because of proximity. And, it may be a situation where, he was by someone that caught COVID and he may not be able to play this game, but may be able to come back and play the next game because the rapid testing came back negative. But still, it's going to be interesting. But I'm excited for it because, man, baseball is gone for so long. Basketball's doing unfair. Because it just like when it's coming back, right? It's like, oh, I'm right back. It's like, you back again? And baseball's like, I have to wait months to get my hands wrapped up around a baseball team again. And then on top of that, get back to the Tony La Russa dilemma, which, you know what I'm saying? That's another thing, too, that I was thinking about. The Bears, listen, Jerry Reinsdorf is so happy that the Bears suck. Right?
Oh, my God, yeah.
Because that put Tony La Russa on the back burner. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the Bears were doing good, people would still be paying attention to the Bears, but their angst will still be at some of it, especially the people that are fans of the Southside team, will be aimed at Tony La Russa. But with the Bears doing this and the election taking place, it kind of just swept that right up on it. Oh, we don't have to hear from Tony La Russa again in spring training. You know what I'm saying? Which by then, he's going to be out there like the hip grandpa. You know what I'm saying? Like saying all the life. Right, yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's lit. Right? Like, Did
I say it right, Tim? It's lit.
Yeah, Tim, like that, Tim? All right. Like, that's what you're going to end up getting. But
that's a great point, though, because why I'm excited, a big reason for the Bulls, and it's not that I wouldn't be regardless because of regime change, coaching change, but it's really all the same players, and we kind of all agree, like, we know what these players are. Now, maybe a couple of them rise up and become, like, really intriguing pieces for the core moving forward. We'll see about that, but with the Bears being this dreadful, it's like, you don't want to look at the White Sox negatively. You don't want to look at the Cubs negatively. You don't want to look at the Bulls negatively. Like, you are in hell right now. Give me any type of optimism. And the Bulls, yeah, best case scenario, they're like an 8th seed in the East. But the other best case is we see some real production out of them, and we see that arrow actually like moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and you would think that replacing management and a coach and bringing in a professional head coach and also a guy that won 2 national championships in college, that there should be some improvement in player development. I would think that. Now, it may not be for sure, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be definitely an improvement when it comes to player development. We already know that Billy Donovan wants to play fast, which actually goes well with the players that they have on this team. Which,
right,
when you're thinking about
finally, Jim Boylan, finally,
right. When you're talking about they did not bring in a point guard. I mean, we know Garrett Temple can play the point, but as far as since someone really supplanting the Kobe White's minutes. So we're going to definitely see a heavy amount of Kobe White out there and see what necessarily he can do. We know he can score. We know he's fast as what. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to having basketball back because it kind of keeps us in a rhythm and gives us something to do during these long winter nights when you're trapped in the house. When you're trapped in the house in Chicago and it's freezing, but someone's going to be down there.
Some people will be frozen.
You're going to be watching basketball now because you're not going to have to be in the house.
It's still COVID. I'll be in the house at least till the COVID winter part.
Sure. Yeah. Listen, you are not going to be in the house. You are so not going to be in the house. I can see
it's my word against yours, sir. You can't take me to a court of law over that.
You don't even have to worry about OG. You're going to be warm weather, flip flops.
The Bulls are on.
Right, man, buttoning it up. You're totally not going to be in the house. But yeah, I'm definitely
the Bulls.
And then, lucky enough, because again, not joking, we're going to get some elements of what's happening in the Valley of the Sun. You got the Phoenix Suns looking right now. You got Chris Paul.
Yeah, I'll let you know how Chris Paul and Devin Booker are doing out there.
Yeah, and dog, you get to watch Devin Booker close games out.
That's a little exciting. Those Suns, I don't know if they can play a lick of defense to get them competitive enough, but offensively, they should be nice.
Dude, you get to watch Kyler Murray home games. Right? Right? Dude, you're that's sports-wise, you got an improvement.
Yeah.
Sports-wise, man. You got some smile on your face outside of not being in this cold weather. So
you're going to have to come down for spring training, especially, too. The Sox are in Tempe, right?
They're not they used to be in Tucson. They may be in Tempe now. I believe what's it
Camelback?
Camelback?
Yeah. Camelback?
Yeah, I believe it may be in Tempe. But yeah, I definitely need to. I definitely need to. Again, like you said, are they even going to allow fans? I mean, I guess they can still have people in the outfield, but are they even going to allow fans in the damn stadium where, the fields with the COVID? Because, I mean, it's bad enough you're trying to keep the players healthy and away from everything. But definitely, I mean, I'm definitely coming. I'm afraid to be on an airplane, though. You know what I'm saying, during this? I mean, I know you're talking about your Rockford flights, but I don't know what type of hazmat suit you're wearing on that bad boy. You know what I'm saying?
The standard. Standard hazmat. The old standard hazmat suit.
But man, yeah, but still also we have training camp commencing for all the teams in the league, the NBA, the association this week.
Is anyone beating the Lakers? Is there any reason to watch this season?
It's a good question right there, Ryan. I don't know because I read
it's up to the Nets basically to make this year interesting.
You know what I'll say? My dark horse, and this is just being repetitive as far as going from last year. My dark horse is Ty Lue and the Clips because just looking at the fact that you got rid of Montrez, a true religion hero who came to the bubble with nothing. All right. You sat there, you brought in Serge, you got, and I'm not saying Nicholas Batum is really something, but it's another long body that you can throw out there. You know what I'm saying? They re-signed Marcus Morris Sr. Just some of the moves that they've made. If Ty Lue can change the attitudes there, then they got a chance. But I hate to say it depends really. I should say on Kawhi, but going to depend on Ty Lue holding Kawhi's feet to the flame. And I know that Kawhi's enjoying this superstar status, but he needs to realize he's a lunch pail superstar. You know,
Right.
like
how did you get here?
Right. You can't be a diva. You're not a diva superstar. You're not that type of talent. You know what I'm saying? And also, not to diminish his talent, but he has to carry others with him. And that's even more what I mean by diva superstar, where, of course, you're going to get fringe benefits, but are those benefits starting to hurt the team? And depending on if you really want to win, if you're prioritizing winning, some of that needs to slide back so you can be the leader that these people need to follow you to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? And also, not just to follow you, but to pick you up on times where, because I don't feel like he choked as much in that last game. Not to say there wasn't some gagging, but he looked like he looked in the Sixers series the year before where he was dragging his body up the court. Look, he can perform while he's dragging his body up the court, but you see it in those back-to-backs where he's just, and it may be a game between, but there's only so many bullets in that Kawhi gun every season. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
Right.
only
With half the season off,
right,
basically.
Right, exactly. Even with that, there's only so much. There's only so much. So I would definitely say them. Who
Denver at all? Does Denver maybe with development, with
if
some
Michael
guys
Porter
taking a step up?
and Michael Porter Jr. snaps, but the only problem with that, they still kind of have to figure out who goes when. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you have Jamal Murray really getting to a whole nother level in basketball. You know what I'm saying? We already know Jokic was an MVP candidate for the last few seasons. Really outside of last year, but the two seasons prior to that, you know what I'm saying? And we heard Michael Porter Jr. talking about, hey, they need to let me get my shots up during the bubble. So it depends on how they all work that out and how Malone does with that. I do think I'll be interested to see what Doc does in Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? Like I will be, but I don't think they're championship worthy. But they have.
Did Milwaukee do anything for you with Drew Holiday?
If they would have gotten Bogdanovich, I would be like, you know what, they closer to getting it done. You know what I'm saying? But to have that trade blown up, it's just like, damn, son, you really needed that, right? Like
they needed Brogdon the year before, or they needed Bogdanovich this year.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like you really needed that. So, I mean, like I like Drew Holiday, you know what I'm saying? But now you're asking for a lot. I mean, it also comes back to what changes has Giannis made. I mean, he's already MVP, but I mean, unless Giannis is knocking down threes at like a 35% clip, you know what I'm saying? Like,
like a dependable shot somewhere.
Yeah, and you're pulling out the other team's bigs. You know, like unless he's doing that to where, you know what, putting up a wall isn't going to stop me anymore. You know, like you put up the wall, he start dribbling back and just be like, and keeps like, then I'm all in on that team. But they're a regular season team basically, and it's due to the lack of shooting and shooting refinement by their best player. But I mean, there's only so much I can say you can ask for somebody that's that dominant. But still, if he can knock down, if he was a shooter like Anthony Davis, it would be crazy with his motor.
My gosh,
what Giannis would be doing. So it's hard. Like when you're saying that, it's really hard to say anybody outside of the Lakers. And the net situation is we have to remember that they have two players, and I won't say KD is injury prone because he had the foot issue when he was sitting there with OKC, but he's been basically healthy since then. Tyree is injury prone though. All right, that's just the truth. And how many minutes are they going to play? You know, and then when we start going deeper into also they're going to be trying to figure it out. You got Kyrie out here on KD's podcast talking about Steve Nash ain't our head coach. I mean, it's going to be a lot.
Right. I was going to say, how many minutes until Kyrie's just annoying everybody in the building and he wants out?
And on top of that, you're in New York City. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people are not going to be looking at the Knicks. The Knicks are going to be an afterthought. Listen, this helps the Knicks because actually Leon Rose can fix them. He has about a year and a half to really get them right because nobody's paying attention to them right now. Like they're going to be focusing on the Nets, let alone if they get James Harden. You know what I'm saying? Like, then it's really going to be crazy, the media. I mean, it's New York City. It's the media capital of the world. So yeah, that I don't. And you know the thing, KD's availability worries me. Even though I still think he should be a top 5 player when he comes back. But really, it's Kyrie's volatility. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I mean, he's a very smart young man, whatever. But it's that's the thing that is like, does Kyrie want to play? You know what I'm saying?
Mentally, he'll just check out if he
Right.
wants to.
You know what I'm saying? So that I can't have them that high. If the Heat had made a move, it'd have been the Heat. Like if I don't know. Listen, I know I couldn't do it. If I said I'm gonna give, let me send you 2 number ones, Tyler Hero, who else can and Kendrick Nunn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still ain't enough for me to get Harden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still ain't gonna give. I'm just out like in office. I told you already. I would love to see James Harden in the Heat form with Bam and with Jimmy.
No.
I would love with that attitude of that team and his scoring, it would be, and it's in Miami, so it's got that sex appeal too. It would be sweet. Or I prefer to see Harden with Philadelphia or the Heat rather than with the Nets, because if the Nets is just effing overkill. And I also don't think a feeling is they won't get it done, but even if they get it done, we all are going to really like it anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's going to feel like, okay, you guys stacked the deck, so whatever. But I got a feeling that even with James Harden, they wouldn't be able to figure it out and get it done. Especially, I don't think they'd be able to beat LeBron.
I mean, that Lakers team, when they've added Schroeder, I'd love that pickup for them. Like, I don't know. AD and him are just, I think, too good still.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. You look at how well LeBron played last year. He's not falling off whatsoever. I'm
like
totally
he might have some bad numbers early because he's going to conserve his body for later, but playoff time comes,
right.
Like he should be playoff Pete, not Paul George.
Man, no, he whose name should not be mentioned. You notice when I talked to Clippers, I did not say one thing about he should not be mentioned.
I had to bring him up because you passionately against Paul George for good reason.
Oh, Paul George. Paul George hurt that team getting fringe benefits when he hadn't proven himself enough in the league. He is not Kawhi Leonard.
No.
You need to be playing a tad bit more, shorty. Like he should have been the Pippen. And what I mean by Pippen, now I hate to be hyper local, but like one thing you always heard about Pippen was he was a great teammate. Like Mike was a jerk. Pippen would lift you up. He should Pippen. Kawhi should this, and Paul George should have been the rah-rah guy for real though from the beginning, not after you get kicked out of the playoffs. He wants to be rah-rah in the locker room. No, throughout the season, right? Throughout the season, leading by example, sacrificing, and being the rah-rah guy, and letting Kawhi just come in and be the assassin. You know what I'm saying? But like, man, listen, when I see people in the Clippers talking about, yeah, they got to figure out how they're going to, basically make this appealing to keep both of those players. My thoughts is you just better make it appealing for Kawhi, because you are lucky if Paul George walks away. You are you hope you get that.
What's the gap between AD and Paul George?
As far as what?
Like player ranking.
Man, listen, AD is a top 5 player, especially physically. AD's a top 5 player. Paul George is probably around number 18 in the NBA. Probably around 18 or 22. Dude, I can run down 15 players before I get to Paul George. All right. You want
That's not going to be able to beat the Lakers. Of course, I want you to do it.
All right. James Harden,
yes.
LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic. Who? I'm
Dame Lillard, Steph Curry,
Dame Lillard,
KD,
KD. I will say Jimmy Butler. Give me Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I'll give you Jimmy over Paul.
Jimmy Butler. Bam
He's got that mentality.
Bam Adebayo. Giannis.
Jokic.
Jamal Murray. Did I say Jamal Murray already?
We did not.
Jamal Murray.
You put the other guard besides Lillard up there?
CJ McCollum. You know, I won't even do Paul George like that, but CJ McCollum is right around him. Devin Booker. Who else am I sitting?
Are we putting Chris Paul?
Listen, Tatum is ahead of Jason Tatum's ahead of him. Jaylen Brown is ahead of him. Hell yeah, Chris Paul is ahead of him. Yeah, if you tell me you can have Chris Paul in that stupid contract of Paul George, I know my team's going to get better with Chris Paul on that.
Coming back to the Clippers.
I don't know what the hell Paul George is going to do to my team. Let's see who else. I think that's
the Philly boys. Either the Philly boys.
I didn't know if I could do. You know what? With how he played defense last year, you could definitely both Philly. You know, both Philly players are better than him. Both Philly players.
How about Mr. Donovan out in Utah?
Donovan Mitchell's better than him. I think we're at about 17 right now. Right?
Yeah, like, I think we're past 20.
Right. I mean, it's dude, no. I mean, listen, now if we're talking about if he was playing to his ability, he's a top 8 guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, a hard top 8, like we really going through these list of guys. But man, you listen, you outside of that year at OKC when he was third runner up or something in MVP.
Yeah, early MVP candidate.
He's been checked out. He hasn't been the guy that he was against the Heat in the playoffs for Indianapolis.
Oh, baby. Like, you can get Donovan Mitchell to miss like 20 shots in a row. You know, how many players can you get that in a playoff game to do that?
Dude, it's just again, I don't even want to talk about that dude because and then to go into that, and listen, you know what? I shouldn't belittle mental health, you know, because we know it's very important. But for him to sit there and be talking about what he was going through in the bubble and how it was depressing, it's like, dude, you're a grown ass man. Like, so, and I know this isn't necessarily his job. People have to travel away from their family, right, and spend time away from them to make the money to take care of their families. You know what I'm saying? And as an NBA
and
player,
in danger, like the bubble was like the safest place on earth at that point.
Safest place to be. So. Again, now, but mind you, if he's saying I don't like it, I understand that. But some of it, and I say this for his mental health, you got to pull yourself out of that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because it's some more serious stuff out here. You're stronger than that, young man. You know what I'm saying? Believe in yourself. You're stronger than that. But just some of that stuff, it doesn't vibe right with me. But again, I don't want to belittle mental health. I think sometimes in sports, when we're talking about this stuff, we do that a lot. I don't like to do the Trey Burton thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I've never been in Trey Burton's shoes. You know what I'm saying? So it's always easy for somebody to bash former Bears tight end Trey Burton. But like, one, it's hard to own up to that. So let me also, while I'm dissing him, I want to commend him for pointing it out because we know in sports a lot of people are fearful of doing that. Look at this great work that Kevin Love has done. But I just felt like, I don't know, because the more I talk about it, the more I feel like I need to just leave it alone because that's that man's mind. But I think he can be stronger than that, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I'm with you. PG, get rid of that playoff Pete.
Come on, dude. You suck. Like you like, dude, Luka Doncic took your soul away. Like,
my God.
I think his soul still is somewhere around Luka Doncic's house. Like
it's like the moon around the earth. It's just revolving.
He snatched it. Like it was, oh my goodness. I mean, he snatched. Like, how could Paul George, who was looked at as being one of the better perimeter defenders in the NBA, get his
Wasn't he in the argument for best perimeter defender going into the year or something?
Whoa. White Sox roster news. White Sox declined to tender contract to Don. And them and Nomar Mazara agreed on a 1-year deal. Whoa.
Maybe nor George Springer?
Dude.
Michael Trevor Bauer?
I hope that doesn't stop George Springer coming to the team, Nomar Mazara. I look at Nomar Mazara as being bad, even though I think he should have a better season this season. Hold on. And Carlos Ron. Oh, wait.
He just doesn't seem like...
I may be wrong. Sox declined to tender the contracts. No, they didn't give Nomar Mazara a contract either. I was wrong. The Sox declined to tender 21 contracts to Rodon, right fielder, and Nomar Mazara. Team announced Wednesday. The Sox did tender contracts to Lucas Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, Evan Marshall, and Adam Engel. The Sox and reliever Jace Fry came to a terms of a 1-year deal. This is from the Tribune for almost $870,000. Yeah, man, all that. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this: if he stays healthy, somebody's gonna get them a nice rotational pitcher in Carlos Rodon in another setting because when his stuff is on, man, that slider, whew,
Yeah,
from
if
the
somebody
left
can
side,
find a way to keep him healthy, like
he's
that
healthy.
dude's got it.
Listen, that I don't know if I should blame Rick Renteria or Rick Hahn for putting that man in those situations down the stretch last year. Because
Maybe Don Cooper too.
you're right with that one, Ryan. You're definitely right. But they, like, to be honest, they didn't do him. They did him a disservice. You know what I'm saying? And again, he hasn't been the guy.
Here's your high leverage moment, bases loaded when we got Aaron Bummer.
Come on,
Okay.
bring his ass out. Bring his ass out. So that's your White Sox news at the moment. Again, taking us away from Tony La Russa. But
and there was good news on that front too.
Oh yeah, as far as the coaching staff or what?
The coaching staff being official, but I think they also did a remotion with his thing. So if he's going to have to spend any jail time, he'll do it before spring training rather than during spring training when they thought it might be.
I would love to see him spend a little bit of time in the clink. You know, I'm a really big person.
Especially if it was a day. Just imagine a day in the clink.
Oh my God. Listen, can I just see? Listen, I want the perp walk and a shot of him in the cell at least. All right, just give me those.
You got to make him wear the orange jumpsuit, right? Like we need the orange jumpsuit. Let's get the handcuffs like he's on death row with the all the violent criminals. Let's really put a show out there for Tony La Russa. I mean, he already did it twice, right? This maybe could be good punishment for a DUI.
I need to see him on the side of the road picking up trash.
You know, D would be there with the megaphone. That's his way of punishment.
Right. I need to see him picking up trash. Then I would feel better. But yeah, because I mean we're joking about it, but driving intoxicated is a serious hell. You could kill yourself or somebody else, let alone injure and maim them. So
maybe take responsibility for your actions when you have it and you say you're going to change, then you don't, and then you try to flash some jewelry and throw out the old HOF. You know me.
I'm gonna pull a Pat Riley on you. Look at these rings that I got on my fingers.
Right.
Yeah, dude. It's just.
Do you know me?
I was thinking about Jerry Reinsdorf just proving to us what Rich really is. It's like, I don't have to listen to anything you have to say. This is mine. Shut your ass up, basically. And that's what he told all of us Sox fans. Shut the F up. This is my team. I don't care what you have to say.
Boy, we are obviously still in football and basketball is just starting, but baseball is going to be a little interesting around here. The Cubs, they're going to have to somehow show something, show some pulse. And the White Sox is just like, don't mess up this chance.
And it's starting to have mess up.
Like, it seems like Jerry's trying to mess it up when it's like, now is not the time for that.
Jadakiss has this song on the Locks, this line on the Locks' first album. It's all the Locks got solo songs on the first album, and Jada's the hook was like chilling, sitting on about $500,000 with all my girls, all my guns, I forget all my women, just for and it kept going just for the love of drug debt. But this is the point that I always love this line. He says, "When shit be going right, I flip into some other shit." That's what Jerry did. Going right, he's like, oh, right.
I can finally make it right with Tony after all these years. Finally.
Right? Oh my goodness. So yeah, definitely. I'm definitely interested in seeing what Jed does with the Cubs. I really wish they could just retool, but I hope if he really goes the long route, he better bring in some stud. That farm system better be stacked.
Right.
You know, I mean, we better be talking about number one guys, like guys that are in the top 10 in baseball prospectus. You know, like we're talking like we better see
some game changers.
You better have about 3 of those guys coming back. I mean, that's hard when you look at the fact that Chris Bryant is on the deal is so short. Like, man, you may have to move Contreras because of the fact that, you know, the control that you have over him. You know what I'm saying?
Ken, I don't want to bring up bad memories, but what they really need is like a Fernando Tatis, like getting that guy right before he's going to be top 10 in baseball prospectus.
I didn't want to do that, but I was going to say they need a Fernando Tatis. I was going to say, but it burns my mind.
I know.
But yeah, that's definitely what that's definitely what you're going to have. Because I want to see good baseball on both sides of town. Like it's just, it's funny. I think
it was fun when we were doing the whole White Sox Cubs Red Line series, like 2021 or whatever. Like I'd love to get back to that.
So I definitely want to see it. I mean, plus, man. I mean, for right now, we're still trapped in the house. Those of us that are lucky enough to get some type of living while working from home. Unfortunately, I know some people have to go out. And some people have lost their jobs, which is just terrible. Yeah. And the government's not doing anything to help anybody. But that's a whole nother discussion for the flip.
Hey, maybe if this vaccine comes through and all this stuff, maybe by the time baseball summer, I mean, that might be the hottest ticket all around the country just because you can finally get back together in crowds.
How quick you getting your vaccine shot?
Probably not ultra quick. I'm not necessarily in a hurry, but I'm antsy.
I'm antsy, and I've joked like, man, give me that bad boy. I really want the 3.0. I don't want the 1.0.
All right, that's a little scary.
I don't want the man. It's a fresh batch.
But you could think about it. Maybe the mind-altering substances will get only stronger with the 2 and the 3.0. Maybe it's better to get the 1.0 because it's still like a mistake from the government control.
Listen. I watch Moonshiners. You know anything about Moonshiners?
I remember you watch. I know that you watch this show. That's what I know about Moonshiners.
The thing is this: when they're first doing a run and they're creating the moonshine, and the liquor starts pouring out, that's called the head, and they got to toss out the heads because that can hurt you. Like that's just.
Is that how people would go blind basically back in the day?
And also they were using car carburetors. So you had antifreeze and other stuff that didn't need to be in your. Yeah, we're talking about, back in the days when you could not get any alcohol during prohibition. But the thing was that I was getting to the head part because I feel like that may be what this vaccine is, the 1.0. Like, that's the head. Like, give me the one after the heads, right? Like, no.
Oh, that's nasty. Give that to all the healthcare workers. That's nasty.
And then, listen, the worst part is like, yeah, give it to him. So I can be like, you all right? You all right, Sue? You're good? You're doing well? Like, I mean, listen, I swear, if I could hold this off for 3 years, right?
That is a long time. My God, 3 years.
I've never done vaccines like this before. Like, you're asking a lot to know.
Why is this one more milky than the last one? Did I get the head?
So I'm just saying, you're asking a lot. So that's just my only reservation with it. I'm surely at one point I'm going to get it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. For the most part, I'm really. See,
that's the other part too, though. Like, if everybody's getting it, you kind of have to do it. Otherwise, you're the problem.
True. That you're right. You're right. You know what I'm saying? But it's just.
Give me that head, baby.
But all right, man, what you got? Let's go up for grabs.
One, to get your thoughts. It was announced today, and it's kind of funny because we had Wednesday football for the first time in God knows if ever. And the league has said that they are not planning on doing a bubble for the playoffs at this point in time. And as we know, COVID is running far more rampant than it's ever done, and we have crazy moving arounds of NFL games, and you're wondering how are they going to make the playoffs work if they have to be a very strict schedule. So thoughts on the NFL kind of panning the old bubble idea?
I don't think it's a wise decision, but I know it's a lot harder to do with the number of players and personnel that NFL teams have compared to NBA teams. So you're asking a whole lot when you're talking about the 53-man roster and coaches and personnel and all that to play in a bubble. But I think they need to if they really want to do it right. You also have to think about it like this. one team's going home. So it's not like you're keeping those teams together longer. You know what I'm saying? It's basically, I would do it like this, actually. Depending on, if the players would allow, I would have had the players in hotels with their families. Hopefully the families are following strict regulation. And then I would just make sure that they don't get in contact with anything else, straight to the plane, straight to the site. But and I was saying that for the regular season. For the playoffs, I would sit there and have players sit there in the hotel, get to the hotel at the beginning of the week in the town that they're playing. Also, if you're at your hometown, you're coming out. You got to go to the hotel too. You know what I'm saying? Because that way, as long as we know that right then you don't have COVID, we have a lot better chance of keeping COVID away from you if you're in our controlled environment 24/7. You know what I'm saying? And listen, you got a month where you just not going to be around your loved ones. You know what I'm saying? That's just for right now. That, and I know it's not fair, but right now that kind of goes with the job, with how the world is right now. You know what I'm saying? As far as getting this done, and it's easy to sit there and be like, man, I don't want to do that. When owners come back and will give me some of that cash, then you're going to start thinking, man, maybe we should do something like that. So I don't like the fact that the NBA isn't really coming up with the way. And I know it's hard, especially when you look at how long the basketball season is just starting to begin, to try to even pull something like that off. But yeah, we're not even talking about regular season. I do think in the playoffs, the NFL should try to go to some type of bubble situation. It may be half a bubble, so as far as not being like every team is in Orlando or something like that. But I do think if you can get players into hotels, make sure those hotels are really controlled environments that you are controlling, and hopefully the players fall in line, that you really lower the risks of getting those outside getting COVID is what I should say. Getting the risk of someone bringing COVID into that situation. When we keep seeing, just since COVID has jumped up this last 2 or 3 weeks, how many NFL players out? We're watching the game right now, this Baltimore game, and listen, Lamar Jackson, Andrews is out. Matt Andrews. Man. Like, when you look at the Steelers, 2 of their defensive linemen, is like when you look at all the players that are out because they're on the COVID reserve list, man. I mean, so they need to do something, because I'll tell you this. Listen, this is what I've been wanting to talk to you. I have been wanting to talk to you, sir, because you crossed my mind. And it's nothing to do like you said something against it. Did you watch that Denver Saints game this past weekend?
No.
Listen, because it's the thing. First of all, Denver had to play a practice team.
With the missing quarterbacks. 3
quarterbacks out, right? This is the thing, the run that really went undercovered as far as watching that game. Neither team basically crossed the 50-yard line for like a quarter and a half. All right, dude, his ass, and I hope you know who I'm talking about. His ass had 78 yards passing. If they played a team with a real quarterback, they would have had to put Jameson at he couldn't do nothing. I'm talking about Taysom Hill. A team that didn't even have a quarterback run, Taysom Hill had 78 yards passing. His numbers look right because he rushed for 2 TDs. Man, get your ass out of here. And then even
Steve Young, eh?
Come on, dog. Listen, look, this is cute. It's cute. There's no way you guys are gonna be able to get a bye in the NFC if you keep this kid playing quarterback. 70, it was terrible. Dude, watching that game, because you're like, okay, I know Denver's terrible. They got a receiver out here that's, I'm not even like off the streets receiver. Damn, he's a practice squad guy. He's like, the announcers were like, people in the building didn't even know who he was. All right, so they got him out here, right? But you think flipping to the Saints, you're going to see some offense, right? It was struggling. It was a hard watching that game this past weekend. But yeah, the Taysom Hill experiment. Listen, it needs to come to an end. You need to know what you got, Jameis Winston, because Shuddy is just your little trick gadget guy. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna be able to take a 48-year-old man to turn him into some Pro Bowl quarterback. It's kind of late in the game. It's like, listen, this is the equivalent of how Yoda and the rest of the great masters felt about Qui-Gon trying to train this old ass Anakin. They was like, man, he too old to get in this game like this now. You know, same thing he said would look like he kind of old for this. Like, that's how I feel about Taysom Hill. But yeah, you crossed my mind in the show because
Sean Payton's Qui-Gon. Well, I'll train him anyways.
Give me some of that oxy. But yeah, so
You can tell me no, but I'm going to do it.
whoa, dude, that was a hard watch this past weekend. And I just wanted to bring that to the show because all you kept hearing was Denver didn't have quarterbacks. But guess what? The Saints did not have a quarterback either. Like, it was terrible. It was terrible. Like, the worst, like, dude, if Denver went up by 20, was up by 20, and then you just wish Denver had a quarterback to see what they would have done, because they would have had to pull Taysom Hill out. Like, that's the thing. So it's that one. I look forward, hopefully, to googly eyes getting this chance, because right now, boy, that Saints offense is struggling behind Taysom Hill. And it's hurt me in fantasy because I got Michael Thomas, and until the game was playing, I said, damn it, I started Michael Thomas, and Taysom Hill is the quarterback, right? But I still won because I still had the Steelers going right now with Chase Claypool, and I was only down by 10 points, so I'm up by like 6. Yeah, I'm good right now.
Good for you, sir. Good for you. Right,
so definitely, you heard the news. Half of the show is moving to Arizona. Hopefully, we'll definitely keep this going for a long period of time and expand it and make it more entertaining, and try to bring you, two different sides of the country. Ryan giving us a bit of that warm feel down there, and me in this cold ass Chicago. But I want everybody that's watching this to wish Ryan the best as he takes this journey for himself, man, and just send all your prayers and energy with him. Hope him
appreciate it,
stay healthy, man. Hope that everything is good. Nothing but you wanting to come back brings you back. Hopefully, it will be the best.
That is my plan for sure.
Yeah. So, Ryan, I definitely appreciate it. And we will be back this weekend with Flipping Friends, Ryan, myself, Sydney. Maybe we'll bring on some of the other guys, too. I know Jason said he wants to start doing some stuff back with the show, too, since he's freed up. So you probably look forward to seeing a couple guys rotating in and out of the Flip. We always appreciate you for sitting here and spending a little bit of time with us. Hopefully, we brought you a little bit of insight and a lot of laughs here at That Davis Show.